Welcome to today's video. I'm Cody the Coin Raptor, and we're going to talk about the massive run we saw Bitcoin start on over the past week, the buy signal, why I think this can continue, and the expiry for Bitcoin options, as well as the catalyst basically for this huge run so far Bitcoin has been on. Now, if you guys enjoy this content, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow me on X, listed in the description. So Bitcoin over the last week, we saw it rally from 109,000 all the way to about 100 and almost 24,000, very, very close to the last all-time high. And Bitcoin has now flipped from a sell to a buy on the Supertrend. That's something that I said to watch out for. As soon as it crossed above this $116,000 region, it flipped to a buy. Now, as a reminder, Supertrend is usually fairly accurate. It's not accurate every single time, but more often than not, when we've seen the Supertrend indicator flip to a buy, it normally is accompanied by a pretty nice rally in the Bitcoin price. Now, again, there have been a couple times in which this has not been the case, but more often than not, if you go back and take a look at your Supertrend indicator, it does tend to move higher after that point. So now I think that it's entirely possible that we'll actually see Bitcoin challenge the new all-time high and push to 125, maybe even 130 in the near term. I think that's definitely a possibility. The daily RSI is only sitting at 67 right now. It's not overbought just yet. Now, as a comparison, back when it ran up at about July 13th, it went all the way up to about 75 or so on the RSI. And so we haven't really seen an overbought status yet for Bitcoin. Now, one of the reasons why Bitcoin has pushed up so high in the past couple of days is because we've seen a large amount of institutional interest in buying Bitcoin. You go ahead and take a look at the So Value spot ETF tracker, and the weekly inflows for the last week were $3.24 billion. Okay, so this is one of the absolute largest inflows to Bitcoin spot ETFs that we've ever seen, okay, going all the way back to when they originally started trading back in 2024. The only time that it was higher than this was back around November or so of last year. It actually went up to $3.38 billion. So you saw a very large reversal. Remember, last week we saw an outflow of $900 million, and this week we saw that $3.24 billion. Now, this is all part of that October seasonal change that we see with Bitcoin. It tends to move much higher in October, and there's a significant bullishness surrounding it. As soon as just surviving September, you tend to move into October, and things tend to get a lot more bullish. In fact, if you take a look at the latest changes in treasury holdings for companies, you can see here that IBIT, aka the fund run by BlackRock, whose CEO is Larry Fink, is plus 5,198 Bitcoin. They bought almost 5,200 Bitcoin in one day alone, October 2nd. And they're not the only ones. You take a look at FBTC, that's another 2,000 right there. You take a look at ARKB, that's another 1,000. GBTC, that's another 300. The Bitwise, that's another 1,100 Bitcoin. So you can see just an absolutely massive amount of buying from these spot ETFs. And this is something that I still expect to see happen for the next couple of weeks and even going into next month as well. And they're not the only ones. You go ahead and take a look at your whale wallets, like whale wallet number 7 here. You can see that whale wallet number 7 added 5,500 Bitcoin on 9/26, and they've been holding ever since. Now, again, these whale wallets are very good at kind of going and buying Bitcoin when the price is depressed and then selling it when it's much, much higher. You can see here that this whale wallet has been buying a significant amount of Bitcoin over the last 2 months. Now, this is something definitely to pay attention to because these whale wallets have been very good at timing the market so far, and that continues to be the case. Taking a look at the normal October returns for Bitcoin, as I mentioned in my last video, usually around 20% on average. We're sitting at about almost 7% so far for October. Now, as a reminder, Q3 is one of the Q4 is one of the strongest quarters for Bitcoin. You tend to see the average increase of about 80% on Q4, okay? And this is no exception. We're actually starting off with a very strong Q4 so far. And if this continues, we could expect 20% potentially October, and then November potentially on average 46% upside in November. But November is not usually as bullish as October, but it does tend to be more on the bullish side of the price action. Taking a look at our Bitcoin metrics, we have the options expiry set for the 10th of October, this Friday coming up here. You can see the max pain price at 116. Now this, we've blown right past that max pain price so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if I actually see Bitcoin kind of come down a little bit in the near term to sort of move closer to that max pain price, that expiry of 10 October. But then I think that you're going to wind up seeing another move to the upside as well. So as a reminder, this is about $3.5 billion worth of open interest, worth of options set to expire on Friday. So you can expect that we're going to see, I would call it medium volatility, probably not like super high volatility like we saw a couple of weeks ago when we had $17 billion worth of options set to expire. But I would say I'd put this in the medium category. Put to call ratio is actually higher than usual, 1.17, so you tend to have more puts right now than calls. So overall, when it comes to options, the traders tend to be a little bit more bearish than the overall market. However, you take a look at the fear and greed index, we're sitting at about 71, and 71's not crazy. We're sitting at greed. Normally, when it comes to the fear and greed index, when we start to hit the extreme greed, that's normally when you kind of get a little bit more concerned about the Bitcoin price. Now we're sitting at about 71, so momentum is carrying us more towards the upside, and I think that it still has more room left to run. Take a look at our exchange reserves. Again, they continue to plummet, and it matches what we saw here with these Bitcoin spot ETFs coming in and buying additional Bitcoin over the last week. You can see this thing just fell off a cliff here. You can see just a large amount of Bitcoin leaving exchanges right now. Taking a look at the 1 month, and this trend is intact from basically going all the way back in January 2023 when we started to see this move down significantly, and it just accelerated this year. So this is, again, a trend that I expect to continue. We're going to wind up seeing $2 million Bitcoin on exchanges before too long. Now, moving to the bullish side of things, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a couple of some Bitcoin price targets in the future. First off, we have Van Eck that are saying basically they're sticking with 180,000 Bitcoin price target by the year end. This is Van Eck. Taking a look at JP Morgan. Now, JP Morgan takes a look at, according to that Martini guy, they look at comparing Bitcoin to gold, okay? And if you adjust Bitcoin to where gold is currently, that would put it at about 165K by the end of 2025. All right, so that's according to JP Morgan. Taking a look at Citi. Citi is actually lifting it here to about 133,000 or so. So not as bullish as the other banks, but still pretty nice upside right there. And they're saying 4,500 for Ethereum as well. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is additional adoption news. You have Samsung partnering together with Coinbase to basically bring that the crypto focus to 75 million Galaxy users. Essentially what they're getting here is Coinbase One in the Samsung Wallet app in the US. Okay, so this is another good example of another huge platform that's going to Coinbase and saying, hey, we want some more ways to get involved with crypto. We want to bring our users more crypto access and more ways to pay with crypto. I think this is incredibly bullish. So again, as a reminder, Bitcoin, this rally right here, is just starting. Again, would not be surprised if we pull back a little bit, all right? If we pull back a little bit from here and then move on to make new all-time highs. Congrats to everyone who has been holding Bitcoin through this turbulent period. And just know that oftentimes what you need to do is just not look at the charts and just go about your daily lives, leave it in your wallet, and just profit from there. But if you guys have anything else to request, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys been doing with your Bitcoin. If you think that we're going to hit a new all-time high in the next couple of days, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.